What's up, rockers?
Hey, I'm Kaz.
I'm Shay, and this is a very, very special edition of For the Record with Kaz and Shay. We're in Portland for Anti-Fest, and we've got some killer guests with us. Brian, introduce the world to our guests.
Oh my God, so we just saw these guys last month at Punk and Drublic in Colorado. Had the best time hanging out with them. Stacy, Myra, bad cop, bad cop.
Half a bad cop, bad cop.
Half a bad cop, but
What a
we're
band.
so excited that, to me, it seems like a whole band.
And so this
already.
is, you guys are the first actual real-life guests on our show.
Oh, wow.
We've mostly just been talking, and we like to talk, but we'd rather talk to cool people like you. So thank you for doing this.
Thanks for reaching out and
Yes.
being like, can we? Because I like to be involved.
Yes.
Oh, we're happy. I mean, we're so tickled. I mean, you guys, we're so excited watching you guys at Punk and Drublic, and you guys went on right before the Dwarves, who are good friends of
Oh
ours.
my God, that was such a cool show. We'd seen you on bills before, but that was my first time actually sitting and watching you, and I watched sort of from above, and that crowd was just into you guys.
Huh?
Yeah,
It was a
no,
good
they were
crowd
so
for us.
into you.
I was so
It was-
grateful
Baby
because
Yoda was in that pit.
Oh my God.
That's
So,
awesome. It was.
I mean, I really, I had been listening to you guys for a while, but to see you guys live and how you just worked the crowd, and they were loving it. So you guys kick ass.
Thank you.
So much.
So, Stacy, I knew that you grew up in a rock and roll household. It's been,
did.
yeah, it has. So, you know, and I've always been a fan of women that rock. Big fan. You know, from Sister Rosetta Tharpe, drummers like Karen Carpenter, maybe. A lot of people don't know that. I'm a music geek, stuff like that. So, as a woman, which women did you guys look up to in the music, when you guys were wanting to start it all off?
Straight up, the first band my dad showed me was ABBA, right? So then I happened to end up in a band later in life that has a lot of harmonies as well. So it's like my ear was obviously tuned into what cool harmonies sounded like. And then it was Joan Jett in 1981. I was 6. And I think Ramones Rock and Roll High School came out around that time, and Joan Jett's I Love Rock and Roll was 80?
About
I think it was
that, yeah.
1980.
Uh-huh.
So it's when that came out, and Crimson and Clover and Do You Want to Touch and all those songs were fucking, to me, it changed my singing because I always wanted to be a singer, but it changed my singing from having a vibrato to having no vibrato. And then I went to school and I was like, I sing like this now. And my friend Heather was like, no, you can't because people sing with a vibrato. And I was like, but Joan Jett doesn't. And then it was the Go-Go's. And at 6 years old in 1981, that was the first concert I ever went to. My mom worked for Bill Graham in San Francisco and worked for his merch company. So we got free tickets to a lot of things because we were pretty poor. But I did get to grow up in the coolest rock shit because she worked for the merch company. And so if there was a little blemish on it, she'd get to take it home. So I had Rat jackets and fucking Twisted Sister, and I had every Madonna, Wham, anything that you could think of that was huge at the time, I wore. And my people were like, how do you have that? And it was like, I'm poor as fuck. I don't know. It feels like I can't believe you like it. You know what I mean? Because I felt like it was free and, you know what I mean?
But you guys weren't poor in music, obviously.
No, we weren't.
You're
That
rich
was
in music.
very rich in music. Yeah.
So, how early did you guys know that you wanted to play music and wanted to be a band? Did that start pretty young?
My entire life.
Yeah, I started around 5 playing drums, but I learned playing drums in a church because my parents were really religious. So the music background of that is I've always been into music, even though my parents didn't really listen to rock and roll and the stuff that was allowed in our household per se. We had to, church music, and so I learned to play the drums there. But when I was growing up and I started, expanding my horizons and learning about music, my grandfather was a jazz blues guitar player and he played in the church as well. So I would jam with him. I got to jam. I was probably one of the youngest kids to play there, and I was the only girl to play there during that time. When he had one drum set, and when other people started to come, wanting to show interest to play, it was mostly, guys. And so I was the only one we would have to fight over this drum kit to play. And, I always got picked to play because I was a better player than most of them.
Have you played the church recently?
Oh, no.
That would be trouble.
Been back. My last time I was there was I was 11 years old. I quit after that.
All right.
But But I've always been into music. I've always loved female rockers and singers. Like I've always loved women's, whether it's female fronted or all women
really
in a
does.
band.
She really
I really
does.
do. And not trying to say, but I played with a lot of guys too. I've been in bands with guys. I love my brothers in music, but there's just a different kind of energy when you get to share a stage and write and, do music with other women, because it's so empowering, and it's like, I grew up and, Cyndi Lauper was like my favorite. Madonna was like my favorite. Totally. Heart, Ann and Nancy Wilson. Joan Jett's one of my favorites, still till this day, and she's still doing it, Yeah. And it's like, when I used to watch Happy Days, Susie Quattro used to come on there.
Fuck yeah, she did.
Susie's the one.
Still playing.
And she's still playing. But when I
man.
saw her, I was like, and then I saw Joan Jett. I thought they were the same
Leather
person.
Tuscanero, man.
I thought they were the same person, and I found out, oh my God, these are two different entire people. Like, and so ever since that, I've just always been drawn to that, and there's so many millions more. Like there's Dolly Parton, you got so many great women out there that just kill it. Like Loretta Lynn, God rest her soul, rest in peace.
Girl.
She's another one, man. Like when I watched
that shit she was talking about. You listen to Coal Miner's Daughter. If you listen to those lyrics, for crying out loud, that is a woman making a goddamn statement at a time where women didn't make statements like that or write songs like that. Nobody wrote personal songs that were that telling and harsh. You know what I mean? It was like we had love, but we were so fucking poor, and we got a new pair of shoes at Christmas, and that we were barefoot in the summer. You know what I mean? It's like
to tour with Patsy Cline and like the women during that time, like they were women weren't doing that shit back in the day.
Yeah, it's wild.
So it's just
certain breed of person is a woman in a band.
So we have
that's
lots of
for sure.
influences. Like Go-Go's is one of my influences.
Yeah, I
as well.
love your Go-Go's inspired shirt.
Thanks.
Do you have that here tonight?
We don't.
Oh, okay. I'm going to buy one for my special lady, though. She wanted that one.
Okay.
Good one.
You guys did mention making statements and stuff. You as women have the power now with the platforms you guys play in. John and I have done videos and work for Brandi Carlile, who has some great foundations going. And you guys, John, the one that you touched on tonight.
Basis Against Racist.
That
Lynn.
is Lynn's.
That's so inspiring, and like it's for what's going on in the world right now, and
that's taken off for her, and it's doing great.
Yeah, and isn't her next subject the bassist of Go Betty
yes,
Go?
It's Michelle.
It's perfect timing to wear this shirt.
She's the bassist of the month.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So every month they do a new bassist.
Yeah.
There's no gender. It's just anybody, and women, female. Guys that are into scene. Mostly people that we know.
Yeah.
And
primarily bassists who are against racists.
Yes.
Right.
And let's hope that there's not any bassists that are for racists. Let's hope there's not any of those.
No. Yeah.
So you guys formed in 2011. How'd you all get together?
Well, our original drummer is one of my best friends. Her name is Jen Carlson, and she and I were in bands together forever for 20 years in San Francisco. And she wanted to get off the drums and play bass or something. She has wild hair. She plays everything.
Yeah.
But we were doing in my old band Compton SF. We had a record release party in San Francisco. And our dear friend Krista, this is actually a really good story. Our dear friend Krista, we went to her house earlier that day to like get some gear or something, and Myra was there. Though we didn't really connect. I didn't connect with you that day.
No, I connected with Jen first.
Right. But Krista said, these girls are playing, they're having a record release show tonight. You guys should go check them out because they're rad. These rad chicks.
Yeah, she was like, "You want to go?" And I'm like, "Yes."
And they play. And they live in LA now, Myra. You should play with these girls, right? And then so Jen and Myra connect, and Jen writes me or gives me a call and goes, "Hey, I'm thinking you want to try start a new little punk band and I want to play bass and Myra, this girl Myra I met, she's a rad drummer. She wants to play drums and just try it out like that." And it was like, yeah, I always do. But the coolest thing is that we always say Krista was the one that kind of put us all together, right? But my dad is also a musician. When you asked, singing, how long did I ever want to do this? My father is a singer-songwriter, ripping guitarist, and I always sang with him. That's how I grew up my whole life. So I always knew I wanted to do it. But my dad had played a show, and Krista was there, and they had met. And years before this Compton SF thing, my dad said, Krista, you've got to go see my daughter Stacy play. And if that had never happened, so it was really my dad. This is the gift that like my dad gave me many, many, many years ago.
It's like the 6-degree separation.
Right.
Of
It's like if my dad never had Krista come see me play, Krista would never have had Myra come see us play. And it's like,
but
so
that's the magic of living, like, well, you know, in the Bay Area and like certain cities where there's so many musicians and like somebody knows somebody. Like,
Oh, for sure.
And that's what's crazy. I met Krista because her band played with one of my bands at a show in LA. And I didn't even know her. And after we were done, she was like, hey, you guys are great. Love your band. And I was like, who said that? And then what I totally saw and I went, oh my God, that's that chick that just played in the, you know, her band Sassy, you know? And I totally met her, connected. And I mean, we just like, we just vibed really well, you know, kicked it off. And she's like, you guys got to come to the Bay Area and play with us. And I'm like, all right. She hit me up like a couple weeks or like a month later and was like, took the show at the El Rio, and we played with all these awesome chick bands up there, and the rest is history. And then I would make it a thing to go visit her every so often, or she'd come down, we visit each other, even if it wasn't like shows or music, we would just hang out, we got to be friends. So that time it was like Labor Day weekend, I believe, and I was up there, and I happened to be up there, and it's just, the universe works in crazy ways, right?
And then a week later,
and then I met, that's how these chicks come walking in her house, I was like, who are these chicks? And then I was like, they were coming to pick up gear. I'm like, that's rad, you know, because I mean, I was always open to meet more women in music, doing, you know, just connect with
Myra
more
and
women.
I and little Jen are the founding members of Bad Cop.
Yeah.
And then Jenny came the next day.
Yeah, she came on our second practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we started talking late in 2010, and I think we got together. We started getting together in December, and then January, March, we kicked it off, and then we had our first show in March of 2011.
That's it.
Yeah.
And then you played a couple years, and then Lynn came in.
Lynn came in after 1 year.
Okay.
Lynn and I were in a band with Little Jen as well called The City, and so Lynn and I had been playing for a couple years together before that.
Okay, and then you're signed to
Fat
Rec,
Records.
and I mean that's my
2014.
favorite label. What's it like to be signed to that label?
It's inclusive and wonderful. It's like a family. I was talking about it from the stage the other night. I was like, in punk rock, and especially our scene, we all are friends. It's like we love seeing each other. We love playing festivals with each other around the world. We love when we get to actually do shows together. It's like it is super inclusive, and it's super rare because a lot of other genres of music just don't have that camaraderie the way that punk rock does. And so
we're like one big family. We all support each other. Bands, you know, like even if like
they take such good care of us too.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
do.
Fat Records is being on Fat is a blessing, and I love them very much.
Yeah, we think it's
It's really cool to see how you guys went prominent so quick. I mean, really, when you think of your careers, you know, the releases that you guys had, the support from many fans, like I say, Blag and Fat Mike and all that. It's just...
Well, it's a funny thing you should say, but Blag, before Bad Cop, I've known Blag going back to my first bands in San Francisco, man. He put me on shows. Blag always advocated for me. It doesn't sound like it, he is, but he's a feminist who has like helped me get my BMI and all my shit in order, has hired me for years before I was anybody. Just a solid motherfucker who always believed in me. And Mike too. Mike was always the same way. He was always like, I love your voice, I don't like your bands. But then we finally had a band where he was like, I'm signing Bad Cop, I want to give you a shot. And we didn't let him down, man. It's like, we work fucking hard.
we went to work. Yeah.
Good. Before we hold you too long here, John is just going to finish you guys up with 5 little questions here to end the show.
Well, no, I thought you were gonna. You have the questions.
Well, here,
over there.
I'll let you.
I
got to
talk real
see.
quick about. You guys were kind of gaining all this momentum, and then COVID hit. What was that like for you? I know you did the great video with the punk rock karaoke guys. You did Cretin Hop. That was awesome, but it's all done remotely. I mean, how did you guys handle that?
We struggled. We stayed together. We stayed in each other's bubbles.
Right.
So we still rehearsed every week. We did as many live streaming things as we could.
Yep.
We got together and had Christmas dinner together.
Yeah, we would see each other like, you know, on the holidays or
Well, we
or
just stayed
anything.
together, and then we, as soon as we could come out of it, we're going to be one of the first bands to be like, we're ready to play, you know. And then we did Punk Rock Bowling. We did Furnace Fest out in Alabama. And then we did 3 weeks with Anti-Flag on the East Coast in Canada. and it was tough coming back out of COVID, where it's like you learn to care about yourself a little more, which you know, that was a weird thing. I think all people found that, like, slowing down and caring for yourself a little bit more was more important than push, and it was cold and all these kinds of things, and we're just like, this is harder than we remember. But now we're back in it
because we released the Riot during COVID.
Yeah.
So during that time, we kind of hunkered down and like learned our songs.
Yeah, we did.
Learned as many songs as we could, you know, to see. Okay, well, when this all lifts up and wherever we get to start playing again, we want to be ready.
Yeah.
You know. But
And
then
we
it took
stayed.
longer, and then it was a little longer, and then it was like we were booking stuff, and stuff was getting rescheduled and canceled again. So we were just kind of like, all right. But, almost giving up on that aspect. But, as far as musically and
we stayed together the
like,
entire time.
we made
and
sure that
kept busy.
we
just
were in
stayed
our
together.
own bubble,
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you are a fighter. You've gone through a lot of things. You just overcame breast cancer,
did.
like a lot of things going. So you're just like probably an inspiration to so many people.
Thanks.
Your band, it's so great. Are you ready, Brian?
Let's do it.
So we, for our first
And
guest.
since you're wearing the shirt, though, you mentioned it, we want to wish Betty from Go Betty
we
Go
love
the
you,
best
Betty.
also.
Yes.
So great
Best
band.
of luck
Yes.
on your
Fighting.
journey. Love yourself and know you're worth it, baby.
Yeah. And so whenever we have our guests, and as we said, you're our first guest, we want to do sort of a spin on the Inside the Actor's Studio, the 10 questions. So we have some 5.
Probation officer.
Brian's going to
Yeah.
ask them
Your
5
husband.
questions. Are you ready,
Okay.
Brian?
Okay, here we go. Stacy.
Yes.
And Myra, here we go. The best concert you ever went to.
Oh my God, that's so hard. You know how many concerts I've been to?
Madonna's True Blue concert. Honestly, that was the best show I've ever
Is
seen.
that late 80s?
That
or
was
early?
late 80s. That was at the Shoreline Amphitheater with me and my dad. He took me to see fucking Madonna, and it was great. That was the best show I've ever seen in my life.
Awesome.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to say, God, there's so many. I'm going to say when I went to see Dio, Iron Maiden, and Motorhead.
Oh, you're a rocker. Wow.
Fuck
a
yeah.
real rocker.
That,
a real rocker.
I will never forget that concert. Long Beach Arena, of course. And Iron Maiden obviously played there in 84 or something, in the 80s. Scream for me, Long Beach, and I got to be
Day
there
on the
later.
Green with Poison, Whitesnake, and Motley
hell
Crue.
yeah.
But also, I'm going to say Kiss.
Yeah,
Kiss,
that was a good one.
the reunion tour, Kiss, the first one. I went 3 times to that, and that was freaking awesome with all original members. I'm just going to say.
All right. Question 2, Brian.
Here we go. Your house is on fire. You have time to run in and grab just one album out of your collection. What's it going to be?
This is going to sound funny to you guys, but there is a soundtrack for the movie Club Paradise.
Oh,
and there's
Robin Williams,
Robin
right?
Williams,
That's a
Jimmy
great
Cliff.
movie, yes.
And I love reggae so much. I don't play it, but I love it so much. And Jimmy Cliff does a song, I believe, with Joe Strummer, I think, or Elvis Costello, one of the two. Sorry, but that record I didn't think existed, and my brother and I looked forever and ever for even one song off that record. And I was in Australia with the girls, and we were at a record store, and in the back they had soundtracks. I'm going through it, and there it fucking was on vinyl. I was like, dude.
That's
so
that's kind of a
exciting.
weird movie, but it's
Yeah,
Robin Williams.
It's Robin Williams and Jimmy
great.
fucking
Yeah.
Cliff, dude.
And
It
two
is
guys
so
looking for
and
weed
Twiggy.
all the time. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No man is an island jack.
I'm going to say the Go-Go's Beauty and the Beat for me because that's
Yeah,
an
that's a great
original
one.
one I have there.
Oh, you
is
have the
damn
original.
good.
I have
Yes.
the original too. My boyfriend for Christmas found in his parents' house his sister's original copy of
Yeah.
Beauty and the Beat, and I have that one
Yeah,
too.
you know how hard it was for me to find
a
that.
fucking
So
rad
I'm going to
find.
say I have my stuff in alphabetical order, so I'm going to make sure I grab that one first.
Okay, let's fill in the blank. People would be surprised that I listen to.
Justin Timberlake.
Oh my God, he's so good. He's so talented. He's got so many songs that make you want to dance.
Yeah, man.
That's like,
I love pop.
I love JT.
I love Justin Bieber. I love.
Yeah, I was gonna
the
say
other
hers is
one,
Bieber.
The sound of your body. Who's that guy?
Oh,
the redhead with the really white skin.
oh, the British guy.
The British guy.
Ed Sheeran.
I like him.
yeah.
I also just got this record called Sounds of Indonesia, and I was put it on to do some yoga, but it had me moving in ways that was so fucking cool, and like It's so odd. The record is so odd, but it really is wonderful and joyous. I fucking listen to everything, man. Everything.
I get a
Yeah,
little
same.
embarrassed when I listen to Christina Aguilera, What a Girl Wants.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
something about that song. It's just so
we
good.
used to listen to Britney and Christina.
The Weeknd.
New Kids on the Block too.
Oh,
you know,
and-
just
oh,
saying.
NKOTB,
Debbie Gibson,
man.
like Tiffany.
All classics.
My thing
I went
is
to a
Ellie
Tiffany
King.
concert. She
Yeah,
had
you got
had
that
like
over
10
me.
songs. That's it. So there was like no more than 10 songs.
Was
for
it
this
in a
concert.
mall?
It was at Shoreline Amphitheater.
Okay.
Again, I went back to
Great
Shoreline.
place.
Okay, ladies, you win the lottery. What band are you going to hire to play your celebration party?
Money is no object.
Money is no
Jesus
object.
Christ.
What band?
The Police.
What about if it's just one person?
Sure, yeah.
You can do it. It's your money.
The Police would be
Unlimited
great.
resources. You're having a party. Who's going to play it for you?
And it could be Bad Cop, Bad Cop. Come on, girls. Let's play
I
my
might
party.
say Rolling Stones on that
Oh,
one.
shit. Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
Jeff Spicoli did.
right? The Beatles, if they were all together
There you
and
go,
alive,
Beatles,
I would have
man.
said that. But yeah,
We got one more question, Brian?
The final one, and you're going to like this one, Myra. At the pearly gates, you meet Lemmy. What does he say to you?
get your ass here, motherfucker.
You want a shot of whiskey?
Yeah. You want to sit on my lap?
Wow.
Well, you know, I seen him do that at a show, so you know, I have
So-
met him.
This has been awesome. We'll wrap this interview up. You're
Sure.
going to go on stage and play with Anti-Flag and Good Riddance and
Yep.
The Last Gang. And
Yep.
who are the other two? They're not on Fat Wreck, are there? There's a
No.
couple more. They're probably Portland
I
bands.
believe it's the Alien Boy band or Alien something in the Mac or.
Yeah, and I think we're going to get Brian to do a little photo shoot with you guys, too. We're just going to have fun.
Get
and
some photos.
If they want to. That's up to
Yeah.
them.
So we can't thank you enough for being on there. I hope we did
Thanks
all
for wanting
right.
to talk
Thank you for
to
having us.
Our first interview.
You guys
so-
did great.
Hey,
You guys
thank
did great.
you.
Thank
kept
you
it
guys
on-
very
kept
much
it
for
on
your
track.
time.
You
It's
kept
much
it moving.
appreciated.
Yeah.
And we got a
Let
good
us
little
talk
gift for
too
you
long.
guys.
You guys could-
We could sit here for 2 fucking hours.
Yeah,
It's like,
we
and
can
then
do
when
a
my
special.
dad.
But it looks like you guys got a party of people over here.
we
We're
have
going to let you
things to
get
do.
back to it. We don't want to, but we thank you for being our first guest. I'm Kaz.
And I'm Shay, and we'll be back
Thank
with
you,
more
guys.
later.
See
Thank
ya.
you.
So, Kaz, we finished the interview, and you started shooting.
Well, I started shooting a bunch of Rainier beer as we were so happy about the interview that went
Yes.
good. So I actually got to shoot 2 songs. I missed the first one by the time I waddled up to the stage. But they were a great band. The Last Gang, really nice people.
Oh yeah, they're awesome. And what was really great is afterwards we were just sitting there, and Brenna came over, and we're like, oh, what a great set. And then we just happened to mention, hey, my buddy here took a bunch of great photos of you, and she came over and she loved them all. She was really happy. And
Good
then-
Riddance was
yeah.
up next.
I mean, they're a classic band. They've been around a long time, and they bring it every time. What was it like shooting them?
They were great. They moved around a lot. Just, they've been around a while, so it's kind of cool to shoot some of these bands that have been around and paid their dues for a while and are still doing it.
Mm-hmm. Getting it done, cashing checks and snapping necks. That's what we do.
Slashing tires and starting
There
fires.
you go. Any other ones?
Anti-Flag ruled.
They were the headliners, but we're putting them before Bad Cop, Bad Cop, because we love Bad Cop, Bad Cop.
Right, but this guy, the bass player, was just, I could have just shot this guy all night. He
It's
was
like
amazing.
he had springs on his shoes. He jumped so high. You remember him working out?
Yeah, backstage he was
before
bending like
holy crap, that guy is limber.
insane.
Yeah, he is very he's very bendy. They're all
Yeah.
vegans. That's what we should do, man. Stop eating. And
Yeah, they were
just-
fun.
I could do that. I want to do that.
I could do it if it was a video game.
Mm-hmm. And then after this, I think
Our homegirls.
I'm waiting. Here they come. The whole reason we were there.
And shooting Lynn, the bassist, is like trying to catch a jackalope. It's so fast.
Myra, we interviewed her. She's badass. And
There's her
Stacy.
Stacy.
Can we say Stacy fucking D one more time?
Yeah.
I'm swearing all up on. They were swearing on this episode, so I feel I have. I can do that. So good. Alex filling in for their normal guitarist on this tour, Jenny. Lynn, god dang, she's just a bundle of energy. Look at that post. She really loved that when you showed it to her. I mean, she's like, oh my God, I've never seen a picture that great.
Yeah, they were all just fun.
Yeah, I mean, that was just
They got the rock and roll moves. They're just awesome.
You do amazing work, Kaz. All
I
of
try.
these pictures. You have a gift. Well, geez, Kaz, we're back from Anti-Fest in Portland. What a day. That was pretty spectacular.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was kind of, we got our first actual guest.
Yeah, so I want to just kind of talk about how this came about, because it kind of blows my mind. We were in Punk and Drublic in Denver. We were there to see the Dwarves. Bad Cop, were played right before the Dwarves. And then you had talked to Stacy D, who we never once referred to as Stacy fucking D, because she's just a badass.
Right, she is.
And so you had set up, like, maybe we can do a photo shoot with you when they were in town, right?
Right. And when a band's on a tour, everything at that moment sounds like a great deal till you're on the road and you realize there's a lot of hustle bustle, a lot of topsy-turvy that comes along with being on the road. Time, early load-ins can all alter that. But,
So it was just an idea, and we weren't like holding them to like maybe maybe you can do a photo shoot with them.
Right.
And then a couple days later, when I'm staying up the entire night, like, oh shit, we're finally going to do a show, right? We're after talking about it for years, we're finally going to do something. I'm like, well, if we can do a couple of shows and then send let Bad Cop see them, then maybe they'd want to be on our show. And that didn't even happen.
No, it came a lot sooner than we had anticipated.
Yeah, and I think we owe a lot, not only to Bad Cop, all those guys, but to Blag from the Dwarves, who we absolutely love.
Right, Blag has always been so good to us. And, if you're in Blag's circle, he'll take care of you.
Yeah, and so he sent a message to Stacy, this guy Brian does great photography, and so we kind of got hooked up with them and then went down there to Portland yesterday, not really knowing what was going to happen.
But plenty prepared. We brought everything just
We brought
in case.
all of our gear. And, we talked about our super producer, Kelsie, and our buddy Mark, who's helping out. It was just us, you and I.
Yeah.
I can't believe we pulled it off. And then after trying to figure out if we can get Stacy on camera for an interview and her talking about, well, maybe we can do 10 minutes, she ended up sitting down with us, brought Myra on, and we talked for over 20 minutes.
Yeah, almost a half hour. I think it was real close.
And it went so
hour.
smooth. I hope the audio turns out great, but it just worked out.
Right, and they actually enjoyed it, and they had a good time with it, and it was really neat that they were,
Yeah, they took
our
a chance.
first guest.
They took a chance on a couple of young punks like us.
Yeah.
And were our first guests on our show, and I think it's going to be great. We had a great time shooting all the bands. The Last Gang, Good Riddance, Bad Cop, of course, and then
Anti-Flag, the Chris 2.
Chris too, the bassist from that. Oh.
Blew me away. It became like this guy was so leaping athletic, it was crazy. And it's like, I'm just getting all giddy going over the photos from him.
Well,
it was just really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun to watch him on stage. It was fun to watch you just following him around, something big's coming.
I was a camera stalker. For
Yeah,
sure
it was
with
so
that guy.
cool.
It was so fun to shoot.
That maybe we can take a lesson from them, because that entire band is vegan, and we are not vegan. Maybe we should go vegan, lose some weight, limber up.
Well,
I don't know. Let's just think about it. Lots of possibilities, but it was really like a day that kind of far exceeded our expectations. So
yes,
we got to thank Bad Cop. Got to Blag. The people at the Crystal Ballroom were great. It was just everybody we talked to was just in great spirits, and we nailed it. I hope it.
Yeah.
And
it was a good time.
I was getting this Jerry Maguire feel. I don't know how many times you've seen Jerry Maguire, but at the end of the movie, Jerry walks into the house after Rod Tidwell scores the game-winning touchdown. He's goes to Renee Zellweger and he's like, our company, our little project had a big night. And I felt that the whole time. And you know what he said? He's like, you complete me.
Oh.
You complete me. You complete me, Cass.
You complete me.
Yeah, so much. So let's wrap it up. I mean, we're mind blown, but do you remember how we wrap it up?
Yeah. This is Kaz.
And this is Shay, and thanks for watching another episode of For the Record with Kaz and Shay. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
You're my ambassador of punk rock and roll, Kaz. I love you.
I'm still damp.
Yeah, you are.